Hold up, I'm breaking ankles like some old tops. My rhyme steady going. Please don't ask me if the flow stop. Deep in the pocket like the roof on a drop top. 101 Dalmatians, the way your boy drop dots. Man, hold up, I got you diving when I'm juking. The clips so sick like the smell from when you're pooping. Man, get down and click the sub button and hit the bell, cause I got a lot more of it. Yeah, who's mains? Terrence House head, who's mains? Batman, Bruce Wayne.
What's good, what's poppin' YouTube? It's your boy WhosManz. You already know what time it is. Get into another video, but before we get into all of that though, go ahead, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you'll never miss an upload. And let's get into the video. So today, y'all see the title, we're talking about the zones and what they do. If you didn't know, the Madden 24 gameplay video of Dez and Clef the God came out. One thing that really stood out to me is how reactive the zones were, and also how man reacts when their back is turned as opposed to when they're not turned. And I'm so glad they did this because I was so tired of DBs turning into, psychics and mediums when their backs were turned and they just knew when the ball was going to be there. That's not how football is played. You cannot react to something you can't see. If I throw a punch at you in the back of your head, you're not going to see it, and that's going to be a sneak. But one thing that I did notice is that I think you'll be rewarded for knowing what it is you do on defense. You will definitely be rewarded on defense, because a lot of people this year got way too comfortable throwing high balls in the coverage, and I don't think enough people understand good route concepts. I don't think that enough people understand concepts at all. They don't understand any offensive concepts at all. I think the people that do are going to do really well in the game, understanding route concepts, understanding defense and what your defense is doing, understanding the simple stuff. You see that thing to my left, even though for me, I'm pointing to the right, but on the screen is to the left. That is there because I just wanted to show you the terminology of everything and where certain things go, right? So if you're gonna look at Tampa 2, for instance, you can already see in Tampa 2, they have a cloud flat, which would be where your out is, out on the outsides. They start in the out. Your cloud flats will start in the out and squeeze down on the flat. They'll stay there, but as soon as the quarterback goes to the flat / swing area, they'll come down and squeeze on that. Next, you will have your vert hook. In Tampa 2, you have your vert hook. They will start in the hook area and then kind of get depth. They just stay in this hook area and get depth. They'll stay about 10, 12 yards downfield. And once again, they squeeze down towards the line of scrimmage just to try to keep everything underneath. They want to minimize as many deep throws as possible. You'll have another mid-read, which the mid-read plays in the whole area in Tampa 2. Prior to Tampa 2, prior to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that 02 era, most cover 2s, Mike would stay kind of in this hook area as well. He would stay in the middle of the hook area and just squeeze down on everything underneath. It's just that teams would exploit that and throw things at him like levels or drive concepts, and that would really stress out all of these linebackers because they would have to basically determine, do you stay up or do you go down? Then again, you have another vert hook, which he's going to stay in that hook area and go up, and then you have your other cloud flat, you stay in the out, driving down on the flat. You have your two deep zones, and their whole purpose of the deep zones is to not get beat deep. And then next, we are going to look at cover 3. Cover 3, you have curl flat. So you understand, you look on here, they start in the curl and then they move to the flat and they swing, they squeeze down on things. Start in the curl, go to the flat, and squeeze down. Depending on how you shade things or if you leave it alone, Madden kind of plays, they start in curl and then they go to the out and squeeze down on flat. If you shade down, they'll start in the curl and literally move down into the flat and squeeze on the swings. You could still call that the flat area. It's just on this sheet they have it as swing. Then you have your hook curls, which they will start in the hook, end up in the curl, start in the hook, end up in the curl, and then you have your deep third. When you understand that, you understand where your players are going to be, where they're not going to be, so there's no confusion as to why your hook guy didn't follow a corner route all the way above your curl flat, who's in the flat. You know what I mean? He's not going to go all the way out there because his responsibility is to make sure things don't get caught over the middle of the field. So he's not going to be running all the way to the corner of the field unless you have him manned up, or if there's some sort of match principles that you have on and it calls for him to carry him all the way over to that side of the field. But in general, and in cover 3, that hook curl is not going to the sideline. So then you understand, okay, flood concepts are very dangerous because it clears out the deep third. And now you're putting stress on that curl flat where you have two routes, one underneath and one over top. So that curl flat has to determine which one he wants to take away. And then from there, it's on the QB to see that. Is he not, is he in the flat area, or is he in the out area but further back, so underneath, things like that. So understanding what these zones do in these basic drop coverages can also help you tremendously, especially when you understand what your opponent likes to do. Pay attention to where the routes end up. Pay attention to where he's throwing the ball, the different concepts. If he's throwing a double post, probably don't want to go Tampa 2 a lot or cover 4, because it puts both of those deep halves in a lot of trouble. If he's running a lot of flood concepts, obviously you don't want to just run any kind of zone at all, any kind of spot drop zone at all. You would probably either want to go man, or you would want to go a match style defense, which there is a match style defense in cover 3 and also cover 2. And there's split field coverages, but I'm not going to get into that because that's just a little bit more advanced, and I'm going to get into that in Madden 24 because I don't know how they have it programmed in 24. But I just wanted to show you guys this because there are things that you can look at and understand, like, hey, you know what? In 23, this was super close because this player, all he had to do is react a little sooner. If you're playing 24, those guys do react a little bit sooner. So I think they react a little bit more realistically. From what I've seen, the zones are not like Madden 20 zones where they are on them like white on rice. The thing is, though, is you have to understand what the zones are, where the soft spots are, how to manipulate people, and to get those throws in, because they're a lot more reactive, they're a lot more aggressive towards the receiver and the ball, so there will be more knockouts. And I think I have a feeling that people are going to complain about it. There's going to be less drops. I think that there needs to be it needs to be tuned a smidge. I mean a smidgen. There is a good amount, because basically as a quarterback you do not want to get your wide receivers killed. You don't want to get the running back killed, right? You're not trying to throw high balls over the middle when there's like 27 people in the middle of the field. Tony Romo used to do that to Roy Williams all the time. He used to throw high over the middle. Roy Williams would get his ribs cleaned. They get marinated, thrown on the grill, smoked to perfection, right? Tony Romo used to do that to that man all the time. You don't want to do that. I think you're going to have to throw with some anticipation, especially if you're playing man. And there's definite ways to get over man. Even in 23, some of y'all, I think, probably struggled with it. There are times where you're going to struggle with it when your personnel just doesn't work to do that. For instance, if you have a team with inferior wide receivers and route running, and you're going up against a team that is stacked at cornerback and are great, I don't know, you're going against a team that's Jalen Ramsey. Perfect example, you're going against the Dolphins, right? And Jalen Ramsey in this hypothetical situation is perfectly healthy, and then you also got Xavier Howard. Like, those two are dogs. You're probably not going to want to throw the ball too much, especially if your wide receivers are not, above average. So if they're playing man, you're going to have to figure out ways. How do I put these cornerbacks in conflict? Maybe a lot of mesh, maybe a lot of double moves, maybe running the ball, running the ball, and then going into play action and seeing if something works like that. A lot of crossing routes work, running away from man. Are they playing cover 2 or are they playing cover 1? I mean, it really depends. But the more you understand the basics of defense, the easier it is to call, and the easier it is to call your offense against it. So definitely work on that. Try to understand what those coverages do at a base level. And then if you want, I do have a playlist where I go over cover 4 and things like that. So when Madden 24 comes out, I think I'm going to go into cover 6, cover 9, the split field coverages where you can do cover 2 on one side and man on the other side, or maybe cover 4 on one side and cover 2 on the other, cover 4 on one side, man on the other. I mean, there's a whole host of things you could do. So you could do a cover 0 on one side with a cover 4 on the other. I mean, like I said, there's a whole bunch of different things you could do. And I'm going to get into that in Madden 24, along with spread and some just different creative things you can do on offense, because I enjoy doing that. Now, if they do have the air raid, I'm going to start off in the air raid and just kind of like slowly ease into the spread. But yeah, that's it. 24 is coming up in a minute. If you enjoy my content, go ahead, hit the like button. That really helps me out, lets me know. Subscribe, and I'll see you in Madden 24.